Hi everybody, my name is Hannah and this is Pepper and Pine, and today I have a book haul to share with you. These are books that we picked up from our local library during their yearly sale. So these are an amazing deal. I'll let you know how much I paid for all these in just a little bit, but I want to share with you some of the things that I look for when I am purchasing books, and it is especially easy to do this if you can thumb through the books at a library bookstore or just when you're looking for thrifted books versus when you're looking for books online, because that's a little bit more difficult. Okay, so the first couple of books I want to show you I actually already own. That's how good they are. This first book is called Yafa and Fatima. It's called Shalom and Salam. And I picked this one up actually just recently, and my daughter and I really like this book. It is really well done. It's about a Jewish girl and a Muslim girl, and I really like this book a lot, and I think it's fantastic for introducing children to other cultures and other religions and just the beauty of friendship. So since I already have this book, when I saw it, I was like, you know, for that price, I'm buying it, and it's going today to a friend of mine, so I hope that she and her daughter like it as much as my daughter and I like it. The next book is called You Wouldn't Want to Sail on the Titanic. This is one of the You Wouldn't Want to Be series by Scholastics. I love these books a lot. You can see that their illustrations are super fun and whimsical, and you learn a lot because the content is really well done. Not too much, not too little. The parts that are a little bit more factual that could end up being a little bit dry are nicely balanced with the captions and the more whimsical, comedic, silly approach. And you might initially feel a little bit uncomfortable about having something so silly with something that's so serious, but I think that it's a nice balance and it's well done. So we already have this one. Let me just show it to you. I knew I already had it, but I was a little bit doubtful. But if I ever see these at the library bookstore again for the price that I got it, I definitely buy it and then pass it on to other friends. But I want to show you something really quickly. The binding on each of these books is a little bit different. That's going to be hard to see with all the glare. Let me move these books for a minute and show you that the binding on this one is a little bit nicer versus the binding on this one. You can see that it's just stapled. They're both paperback books, but this quality is a little bit better. I don't know the retail price for either of these, but they're by Scholastic, so you're not going to end up spending a lot of money for either of them. But again, for the price that I got it for, it was awesome. Okay, so this book has been on my wish list literally for years. I don't know why it took me so long to get it. And I really would have preferred to get it in hardback, but again, library bookstore yearly sale. When I saw this, I was super excited and I got it. The binding is really simple, but this book is super cute and it's really funny. It's so witty and the illustrations are really great. So this will be a great addition to one of our nature units. And that's the other thing. When I'm going into the library bookstore and I knew that they were going to have this big sale at this time of year, I go in looking for certain kinds of books, and mainly they are nonfiction, but we're going to be using them for our unit studies and main lesson blocks. So another book that we got is Why Don't You Get a Horse, Sam Adams. And I like these kinds of biographies. I like the author as well. I have other books by this author and we've enjoyed them. I'm going to add that to our history unit study bins. And then if you lived 100 years ago, I have other books in this series and they are okay. They're in a question answer format. I am kind of on the fence about how much I like the other ones, but since we have purchased these before full price, at this price, which again, I'll reveal the price at the end of this video, I did not want to decide later, oh, I wish I had that. So I went ahead and got that. Again, gonna go in with our history units. Osborne's Science Activities, Science with Magnets. Recently, I picked up this same series on plants, and we have been using that plant book for our spring nature unit for like a little mini botany unit, and I really liked that the pictures and the illustrations were really lively, and this is super easy to get something out of the book just because it's really beautiful, it's really simple, and this is going to go in with our science units. All right, so on to some more nonfiction books. Do whales have belly buttons? So this is another question answer book. The question answer format for a book isn't usually as engaging, but I went ahead and got this one because we did do an ocean unit at the beginning of the school year. When we're done with the unit, I realized, oh, I wish I had a book on this particular subject area, and so that's why I have this book, and that is to add to that unit. All right, the next book we have is Discovering Jupiter. We did an astronomy unit earlier this year, and it's going to come up again in the following year, and you know, the continuation of that astronomy unit. And it's nice to have some things that the kids can read as well. This one's called Crafts of the Middle Ages, The Crafts and Cultures of Medieval Guild. And I wasn't sure if I wanted to get this one because we have a series of books for our Middle Ages unit, and it's really similar to this book. It's a series of maybe 20 books, and they're all very small, and they're on different topics of the Middle Ages. But the reason why I went ahead and I got this one is for the craft projects that are in here. And I like getting books that I have that are similar to I like getting books that are similar to the ones that I have. That's what I was trying to say. Because then they have a spot in our homeschool. If I'm getting books that are totally different, then I got to create a space for them. But because I already have a space for astronomy books and history books and Middle Ages books, it's easy just to add this into the books that we already have. Now, every time these units come around, it doesn't mean that we're going to use every single one of our resources. That would be completely insane because we have so many books. But it's nice to be able to pick and choose and try something new. And it's nice to be invigorated as a teacher to find new materials that are going to be interesting or a new take on it, because it allows you to also be excited about that unit. So I am excited about those projects. Army of Ants, and I just really like this book. I think the illustrations are really cute. It's laid out in a chapter format, so I imagine that this is going to be a story format, and I love the opportunity to learn like nonfiction material in a story format. And so this is going to go into our nature unit study bins. I'm really excited to have found this book and a couple others in here that can function the same way. Disappearing Lake, Nature's Magic in Denali National Park. And I got this one for the illustrations. I mean, just beautiful. I love adding picture books into our unit studies. The Emperor's Egg. This is a really charming little picture book about penguins. And the reason why I got this one was the same reason why I got that book on the whales, is because we did our ocean unit at the beginning of the year. When I am at a thrift store or a bookstore, you know, library bookstore, I keep my eye out for those kinds of books. Footprints in the Swamp. I believe it's about a possum during the dinosaur age. I thought that this would be a really great way to look at that period in history, natural history, the dinosaur age, through the eyes of another animal. And I'm thinking that's what this book is. I love engaging books that are going to teach you something academically. And so this, I'm hoping, is that kind of book. Same with this one. It's called Sassafras, and it's about a raccoon. And look at those illustrations, total winner. And I saw multiple of these books at our library bookstore. So again, probably from a teacher's classroom, as this one is as well, I think. And it's The Reason for a Flower. And this is a picture book story format going through all the different flowering plants. So this is perfect for the unit that we're doing right now. And this is just great for a botany unit. If you want to know how these books fare in our homeschool, be sure to check my review videos, because at the end of all of our units, we do have, or I do make a review video of all the resources, the books, the projects that we did, and you will see my thoughts on all the books that you're seeing now once we have added them into our units. Indians of the Plains. This looks like it's a pretty old book. The pages are a little bit yellowed. 1985, so you know, medium old. I don't know, it depends on how old you are. Visual Dictionary of Native Communities, and this is a really beautiful, beautifully illustrated book. And then you have Navajo and Pueblo and the Plains Indians. And so this is something that's going to be great to add to that unit of ours. So we also have Irish fairy tales. Fairy tales have a place in our Waldorf curriculum, and I especially like comparing them and hearing them from other countries and other cultures. And you'll see sometimes a lot of similarities, and then at other times you'll get completely new ones that are really specific for that particular area. So I'm excited to have that one. The Fascinating World of Bees. So the binding on this one is a little better. This publisher, we have it for other books, and I love love, love. The other books that we have, I believe it's Weather, and I can't remember, but we have 3 of them, and they're really good for the same reason why this book is really fantastic. So check out these beautiful illustrations and just the right amount of content. The illustrations just are completely captivating, and the whole binding is really well done. A little bit of an upgrade from the staple binding, and thicker cover. Super happy to find that at a great deal. I Can Read About Spiders. I almost put this one back because I wasn't, number one, I am so not crazy about spiders at all. Just seeing these illustrations, just, can't do it. Wow, can't do it at all. But anyway, I got it because I like the pictures, or the illustrations rather, not the spiders themselves. I just think it's a really beautifully illustrated book. And I like that it appears to be more in a story format. I didn't read a lot of it, but I did read a little bit of it, and I found it to be one of those books that I think would be interesting for my kids either to read to themselves or for me to read aloud. And so it will be going into our nature unit study bins. Manatees. I got this one. I like the illustrations. It's a story, and it's going to go with our ocean unit. Emperor penguins. This can work well for a read aloud if you've got a younger student, or if you have a new reader. And if you have an older student, then it'll still be a great review, and then something that's easy that the older student can read to the younger student. So, multiple uses possibly. The next book we have is called Manatee Winter, and again, beautifully illustrated, nice story. And this will be in our ocean unit. Another one for our ocean unit, this one's called Seashore, and I almost didn't get this one. This was one that I was kind of on the fence about, but I'm actually really glad that I got it because I am, and I can't tell you why yet because I don't know. I'm glad that I got this one. All right, another one that's gonna work well with fairy tales and folk tales from around the world. This one's called The Dragon Prince, and it's a Chinese Beauty and the Beast tale. And I like this book because it was a Chinese version of the fairy tale. And I'm not sure if it has Chinese roots as well, or this has been a retelling from a Chinese perspective. I actually don't know. But I did still get it because I want to read the story. All right, so the books by David Adler I really, really like. This is a picture book of Benjamin Franklin. I've liked them because you learn a lot in a simple way. It's not going to be a detailed biography. It's not going to be complicated. It's not going to cover the heavier aspects of a person's life. It's just going to be just right for a child and just right for an adult who needs a refresher on some of these topics. What I'm not crazy about are the illustrations. I've never been a fan of these illustrations, but that's okay. I still really like the content a lot, and he has tons of different biographies, so I'm happy to collect them when I can, especially at this price. All right, another one by David Adler. This is the picture book of Paul Revere. And again, really similar to the last one, similar types of illustrations and usually a really great story, nicely written. Bumblebee at Apple Tree Lane. I almost put this one back, but I'm glad that I kept it because when we did our B unit, the one book that was the clear winner of all the resources that we used was a picture book on bumblebees. So I went ahead and got that one to add to our B unit. This book I already have. This is called Whales, the Gentle Giants. And I really liked this one, actually. And so I got this one. We already have it. I am going to be passing this on directly to another homeschooling family because we enjoyed it so much. Nature Club Birds. This one is going to be added to our bird unit. That's where this one's going to go. We have another Pinkalicious book, and my daughter really likes the Pinkalicious series, so I was happy to be able to get that one, and she found it. She picked it out. World Above the Clouds, and this is a story about the Himalayan ecosystem. And as I browsed through this book, I was really pleased with it. Again, haven't read it cover to cover, but this is the exact kind of book that I wish that most nature books were written like, where the whole story is from the perspective sort of the snow leopard. There he is. And then you learn about the ecosystem from the perspective sort of this one animal. So it's a beautiful story and I really like the illustrations, and then you learn a lot. And so that's like a triple win for me. And the binding on this one happens to be really nice, so that will be added to our nature units. I am super excited to find this one. This is the life and times of an ant, and I have this one for the life and times of a bee, and I think the illustrations are just gorgeous and super cute and amazing. And so I have that other book on ants, and I have another one already in our homeschool library on ants. So when I start to collect more than, like, say 2 resources, or at least more than one on a really specific topic, I'm like, oh, unit study. And so again, add that to our nature units, turn it into a unit study. Antarctica, this one is another beautifully illustrated picture book, and this goes really well with our, it could go well with the multiple units, but again, with our ocean unit. I was unsure about getting this one. This is the story of the flight of Kitty Hawk, and this is about the Wright brothers. I was unsure about getting this one because I think this book is pretty old. Let me tell you when it was published. It was published in 1981, so, you know, again, depends on how old you are. The reason why I was hesitant to get this one, and literally this was the last book that I kept adding to the pile and taking it off and asking the kids, and the kids weren't interested in it. Obviously, I mean, the illustrations are really, they're nothing to be like wowed at. The reason why I got it was because of the story primarily, and I know that since 1981, amazing picture books have been written about the Wright brothers, and so I'm sure that I could get a more engaging picture book. But in the meantime, I'm so glad to have this one. Here's the problem. I don't know where this book is going to end up, because it's more about inventions than about the historical time period, in my opinion, or it's more a biography than about like the early 1900s. This book, I'm not sure where to put it, and that's a problem in bringing in new resources into our homeschool, is that if it doesn't have a home, it ends up just not getting used, number one, because I won't remember that I have it, and it won't have a location in the schoolroom. I have a couple of magazine racks or magazine folders. Sometimes I use those for like really miniature units that maybe only have 1 or 2 books, but I know that I want to grow that unit, and I might put it in there. The problem is that it's not where my typical units are, and I really like keeping things sort of together because mentally it just helps remind me where my stuff is. So if I put it in a completely different place, it's likely not to get used. So we'll see about that. North County Night. This is a story about like the gathering evening, like what happens as night approaches. I think that's what this book is about, because I did start to read through it while we were at the library bookstore. Maybe that's why it took me so long to pick my books and why I was there for so long, because I kept getting distracted by reading little excerpts of the book. But I had to do that to see if we want to get it. I'm not sure where this one is going to go with our units, but right now we'll stick it with the nature units. And the last one is the book called Pyramid by David Macaulay. And the reason why we have this book is because we have other ones like it in the series, and I honestly was pretty sure we didn't have it for our Ancient Egypt unit, but I actually couldn't remember. But that's okay, because for this price, I am okay about getting it and passing it on if we already have it. But we have so many in this series that I knew that we would be pleased with it. All right, so now it's time to reveal the price of all these lovely books. They were all for $1. So all of the books I got were $1 each. So I actually pared down my stack, and I ended up purchasing about 40 books. I put back about 15 books, 15 to 20 books. So I had a lot more. Then I ended up with about 40 plus books. So for a little over $10, I think that was a great deal, because some of these books I know are about that price, like $7.95 already. So my whole 40 plus books is pretty much the price of about 2 books, and most of them were paperback. I only got a couple of hardback books. Some of them were not in the greatest condition, but some of them were really excellent. All right, so if you want to see how these books do in our homeschool, don't forget to check out the review videos at the end of all of our unit studies. That playlist is linked on the screen for you right now. You can check it out. And if you want to see what we're up to on a daily basis, don't forget that you can find me on Instagram at Pepper and Pine.